Okay, we are recording live, guys.
All right. Our guest today is an executive advisor, business coach, podcaster, and keynote speaker. He has been called the business whisperer for his insight into what can keep the corporate culture from thriving. He is also the author of the Think Big movement. Please welcome Jon Dwoskin.
Dwoskin, close.
It's all right. You know
Close.
what? I can't pronounce anybody's name.
Just told me that 2 minutes ago.
And I have a podcast, and I do the same thing. I was like, wait,
Dwoskin.
pronounce your last name for me. Pronounce your last name, like down
Dwoskin.
to like right before I go live. Yeah. So I
I just
get it.
I just
I
blanked
get
on it.
it.
I was like, you just told me 2 seconds
No.
ago. and then
I
there
get
goes.
it. No worries. No worries.
So
Yeah.
we were kind of messing around here because it's funny. We had a guest on just before you, like a day ago, and he's Jonathan Dwoskin, and we
Oh,
and
that's
then it was
wild.
like the Jonathan Dwoskin.
I know.
And
Right.
I was just like, but I kept sending both of you guys the wrong. Like I kept sending.
Oh, that's
each-
so funny. Our
it's so
families probably
stressing.
got off the boat at Ellis Island and they just couldn't understand what they were saying. Right.
That's right. That's right.
There's a lot of that, I think. I actually
Oh.
just was asked, somebody just asked me, are you related to this person, such and such, Dwoskin? So I said, and they spell it Dewoskin. And I said the same thing, that we must have must have been an Ellis Island thing.
Something
Must have
happened
been,
there.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Got off the boat.
Yeah.
One went left and one went right. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's like us.
man.
we got off the boat in Halifax in Nova Scotia. We came over from Wales back in
Yeah.
the '60s, and I was like 4 years old, and we ended up coming out to the West Coast. Yes, it's crazy.
It's
crazy.
wild.
Hey, so on our show right now, what we do is we do something called Two Truths and a Lie.
Yeah.
So John has got two truths and a lie for us, and Devin and I are going to have to guess which is the lie.
All right. All right.
So
Okay. When I was 23 years old, I'm going to be 49 this year. When I was 23 years old, I started an internet company that was then sold to one of the largest internet companies in the world. I'm a cancer survivor, and I climbed Mount Everest.
Oh, man.
gosh.
Oh, jeez.
we get some wild ones, but this is up there.
Oh, man.
I'm going to say Everest.
Internet-
I'm going to say
Cancer
Everest.
survivor, internet company. Yeah, let's go with Everest. I'm gonna.
All right. Everest is the lie.
Ah, there we go.
Yeah. All right.
There you
Good.
Because I do know some guys that have climbed Everest.
Well, I was just watching this
But I was
Wim
like,
Hof guy. You know,
I-
the reason that came to my head. Do you guys know Wim Hof?
Very
Wim Hof,
well.
yeah.
Yeah,
we
the
do.
Iceman. So I was just
Absolutely.
watching something, and they were talking about literally yesterday. He climbed Mount Everest in a bathing suit. So
Yeah.
Mount Everest is like in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah.
Thinking how crazy that is. Yeah.
Look,
so-
a quick little story is that because of COVID and everything, we've been locked down, and my wife and I were living at Whistler for about a year, and we came back down to Vancouver here in Devon, have been practicing this Wim Hof method, right?
yeah.
And he's like, and I was having a bit of anxiety stuff because of business and whatever. And he says, Dad, you got to lay down on the floor and do this breathing. And I'm like, okay. So he guided me through this breathing. I did all the breathing. He says, okay, now what we're going to do, once you get used to that, you're going to start taking cold showers. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
Well, now we're going to do ice. So Devin and I were at Whistler yesterday, and we're out on the lake breaking up the ice, and we're jumping
Yeah.
into the lake, and we're doing the breathing, and it's totally changed my life.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
It's
It's
incredible.
absolute-
You know, I saw my wife watched Gwyneth Paltrow has a show on Netflix. I think it's
Yeah.
on Netflix called The Goop Show or The Goop something or other.
Yeah.
And so she was watching. She said, "You got to watch this thing about Wim Hof." So we were all like gung ho Wim Hof. I was doing the breathing every morning, and then this morning I woke up and I thought, God, I haven't done it. Like, I got it. You know, it just got out of my routine. And
Yeah.
but I thought to myself, I'm waking up tomorrow morning and starting the breathing. But ever since I saw the show,
Yeah.
I've been taking a cold shower at the end of my showers every morning.
That's
and
right.
if I shower like at night, if I work out during the day, whatever. But it's yeah, the cold showers are great. I can only do like 10 seconds right now, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I want an ice bath. You know, I want a thing where I can,
they sell them. You just buy a barrel and away you go, and have it out on your deck or on your patio.
I know, but how do you fill it? It seems I don't want to
I
like
know.
spend an hour getting ice. That's exhausting. I need
Yeah.
I wanted like the celebrities do. I just want it there.
Yeah.
and it's done.
I know it's the new, but you know what? It's crazy. It's totally addictive. Hey, Dev.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, it is. It is. Yeah.
We're doing it every day. We do it every day. We either go on a lake or in the river. It's winter, and we're in Canada, and we got
I'm
we
so
got a boat. So
jealous.
it's like yeah. It's just very addictive. So,
It is.
Yeah. All
oh,
right. Good. Well, all right. Well,
all
thanks, Wim
righty.
Hof. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Wim
Yeah.
Hof. So let's get on to your there's so many things we can talk about. There's your book, there's all this. So one of the things is I'd like to ask you is how do you get people to think, big, to
Yeah.
get big and get inside? Because I know a lot of people are stuck, and especially during this
Yeah.
year has been a really tough year. A lot of people are stuck. Like
Yeah.
people are either thriving or people are having a hard time.
Yeah.
It's a really weird
It's
land.
no, I hear what you're saying. And
Yeah.
the way to think big is to actually think small, right? So thinking big is a couple things. For me, it's a couple things with the pillars. It's reverse engineering everything you need to do, the small things you need to do every day to get to the big. And your big is really your purpose, right? What's in alignment with your soul. I
Yes.
think it's really hard to think big when you're out of alignment. And so the first step is figuring out what is in alignment for you, right? Not only, I mean, I specialize in the business element, but you can spill over to every element of your life, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if you're not in alignment in your personal world, then your business suffers. And if you're not in alignment with your business world, then you bring it home and your family suffers. And so for me, I've always been on this kind of journey of being in alignment. And it started, I think it started before this, but 25 some years ago, I was reading this book called Seed of the Soul by Gary Zukav. I don't know if you guys have read it.
No.
If not, it's an amazing book. And so one of the things he talks about is my dog's barking in the back. One of the things he talks about
It's
is
not that loud.
the ideal soul is when the personality ends and the soul begins. And I remember reading that thinking, I'm not in alignment, because I there was just elements of my personality that were so sarcastic. And I mean, and yet I was kinder than than elements of my abruptness showcased. Right. And so, and I think people always knew that I was kind and a good person, but I just remember feeling not in alignment. So to me, and one of the things I think COVID did is it got people kind of thinking, this is what alignment looks like. Now I need to get there. And I have gotten in touch with my personal values. I want to work for a company whose business values aren't just on the wall, but they're actually living those values. Yes. And are my personal values in alignment with that? I interviewed somebody this morning on one of my live shows with, which Nigel, you've been on a couple of them. Yeah. And he was saying that the amount of people who call about jobs now and say, I want a remote job. Is this remote? Is this flexible? Is about 80%. And so I think the world is changing, and people, it's not just the millennials anymore pushing it, where people are like, the seasoned and older generations are like, oh man, those millennials, they want too much time off. They want flex time. They want to work from home. They want to work virtually. They want to do this. I mean, that was like a year ago yesterday. That was still kind of archaic. Today, it's mainstream, and companies have been pivoting all year to figure out how to do it. I mean, I'm a business coach. I have 8 virtual people working for me all over the country and the world. Yeah. I have no employees, and it's the greatest. So just to kind of go back to your question, thinking big is getting into alignment with your soul, knowing what you want, and being on a journey to get there, and then rewinding, whether you're there or not, rewinding all the small things you need to do every day to get to your big.
I'm totally with you. It took me a long time to figure anything like that out, because it was,
I'm 49, so it took me a long time too.
It's you're like you're a kid now. I'm 50. Right. I'm 50. Actually, I'm 59 next week on St. Patty's Day. It's crazy.
I'm 49 in May, so I'm actually not 49 yet. Yeah.
But it took me so long because business, was a struggle. Like, it was this battle for so many years. And then when I was, older, and I was lucky, I had a coach. I had a coach that helped me put all my blocks together and take the crap out of the way and move forward. And then actually get into my sweet spot. Yeah. Once I was able to get in the sweet spot, things just happened. Things came to me. I mean,
Right. The universe answers.
the universe, mystical, whatever, the ball of energy, with the law of attraction, whatever you want to call it, things started to happen. But you're so right. It's like getting into that sweet spot, getting into that rhythm, understanding what your life purpose is.
Yeah.
And then, working down, and now, I'm older, and now I jump out of bed like a little kid, and, I'm doing podcasts with my son, and we're just having a riot, and where back in the old days, I just didn't see it. It was like inertia pushing uphill. So,
I just want to comment on that. It's, I do a lot of coaching. My coaching is very one-on-one and custom. And, I keynote and talk about my book and things of that nature when the world isn't on a pandemic. But I also do this group coaching, this live group coaching once a week. And one of the things I was talking to the group about a couple of weeks ago is I don't do proposals. And because it's, to me, it's like, I want to work with clients that that can understand what I do when I'm on the phone with them, and I'll send them a recap. But the universe, like, I'm so in alignment with what I'm doing right now. I can talk to someone and they can say, okay, sign me up.
Right.
And I think that's foreign to people. I was asked to do an RFP the other day for this organization. I said, I'm not doing it. Your RFP is unclear. You don't even know what you want. I'm happy to do a 1-hour talk with you to figure out what you need in your RFP, talk about how I can service you. And if you use me, great. If you don't, that's fine. But I'll do a recorded audio visual proposal with you.
Right.
Otherwise, you know what I mean? It's because I know exactly what I can do, what I can't do. And so, like you're saying, it's like, when you know it, the universe just kind of brings that type of client to you. Or environment.
It's true. And now at my stage in my life, it's like, there's certain people I will deal with. There's certain people I won't deal with. Like, I'll chat with you all day long because you're doing super cool stuff, and it gets my energy going. If there's a sapper or a drainer, I have this much bandwidth left, right?
I know.
Why am I going to spend that on this? So, but it took so long to figure that out. It took so long to figure that out.
I was sharing a story, Devin. It's like, I hear like you're 24. And I'm sure your dad can relate to this. So I'm going to be 49 this year. When I was 23, I graduated college, started an internet business, but that feels like 7 minutes ago. Right. So I look at you and I look at someone who's like the same age. You're looking at me thinking like, I'm talking to an old guy. It's like
your words.
Right. But you know what I mean? Because I said to my wife the other day, like, I'm so tired of like looking at my receding hairline every day on Zoom and StreamYard and Microsoft Teams and FaceTime. And it's like, you know what I'm saying? Right. Like Devin's putting his hair in a ponytail. I'm like trying to like get as much down on my forehead as I possibly can. But everything goes by so quickly. Right. I don't even remember what my point was. What were you saying before, Nigel?
We're talking about getting into the flow.
Oh, I remember. So I was on a podcast the other day and I was telling a story. They were asking me about something bad that happened to me. And I was telling about in my 30s when I was in real estate managing this office, this complete and utter, can I swear on this show?
Sure, go ahead. Yeah.
This complete and utter asshole who tried to make my life hell for 2 years and bullied me to no end. And I took it because I didn't know how to not take it until I finally found my voice, 2 years of coaching into it, and said to him and finally went into his office one day and I said, either you quit or I'm going to fire you because I'm done with this fucking game. Right. But it was like, and today, and if I'm 49, I literally would be walking with a pad of paper. He treats me like shit. I'd say, you're fired. Like, get the hell out of here. It's like you only learn things sometimes with age and you have to walk through the mud.
All the crap and the mud and the mess. I know. And there's so much of that. But if you can kind of push your way through and then know that you're going to be okay on the other side, you've been through this before. That's the point that I get to now is that there's been so many ups and downs. There's so many smacks in the side of the head. And now it's just like, okay, go ahead and hit me because I know I'm going to come out the other side. 25 years ago, I was terrified. I didn't know. I just didn't know. You never know if you're going to come out the other side, but you'll be okay. And, Sorry, so Dev, you had a question.
Time is the overseer. Time's the overseer of everything, right? You get through at some point. So with coaching like CEOs and entrepreneurs and whatnot, what would be the number one thing you think people miss in their business?
Self-awareness. Right. You got to look in the mirror. Accountability starts at the top. Accountability starts with every manager. And if you don't have specific and measurable, if you don't have a very specific and clear vision, and you don't have specific and measurable things to measure people by with layers of accountability so people understand the direction, and you have a leader who doesn't know how to lead in that way, and also from the heart and kindness, then companies begin to crumble quickly, right?
Yes,
and so to me, it's leadership on every level, being unaware and not looking in the mirror. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm listening, guys. My dog is scratching at the door. I'm just gonna get him. Keep on.
No
asking.
worries.
Yeah, it's okay. You just let him in. Yeah.
Being aware and leadership. Yeah, definitely self-awareness, right?
Exactly.
Sorry
Most
about that.
important.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's okay. We got our dog locked
That
up
was
in the basement
Cooper.
here. Hey, Cooper, how you doing?
Say hi, Coop.
Oh, hey,
Okay.
buddy.
Hey, Coop.
You just got back from the groomer.
Oh,
All
oh
right.
my
So
gosh.
go ahead. Sorry, guys.
No. We got all sorts of stuff that goes on
Yeah.
in the show here.
Yeah.
So you're also about the scaling guy, right? Because we had a coach on our podcast a couple of days ago, Daniel Marcos. I don't know if you know Daniel. He's
I don't know.
he works with Vern Harnish and the whole
Rockefeller habits.
Rockefeller
Yeah.
habit stuff. He was saying that there's companies, there's that kind of that family like between 0 and like 15 employees. That's kind of like where you've got this cohesiveness. You can walk down there and talk, and you can go for lunches and all that. He says when you go from 15 to 50, he says that's a really tough zone. And then from 50, that's when you really start to scale.
That's a big difference.
But the quagmire is between getting from 15 to 50. It's just that gooey, sticky. You're not big, you're not small. You're in this difficult. So you got any tips for scaling? Yeah.
If you're going to scale your business,
scale big.
Right. If you're going to scale, you need great managers, and you cannot hire someone because they were good at their job. You have to hire someone because they understand how to manage people. Yeah. And so many managers do not know how to manage people. And managing people means creating structure for them. Managing people means putting in understanding not only the structure, but what the expectations are, what the goals are, what the specific and measurable critical leading activities that they need to do, really defining what they need to do, and then being that player coach for them all along the way, right? Not a micromanager and not a cheerleader, but a strategic partner that can discuss and really help them grow as an individual, and let them know that you're there to help them and train them. Another thing is great training. There's so many companies that do not invest in their people. You must train your people. So, and some people think, well, what if they leave and this is it? Well, what if they stay? Right. And so you've got to train your people. You've got to have great management, and you've got to, from the top, have a vision and a mission and a purpose that people can connect with. And you have to live it, and you have to have it be the through line and undercurrent of every decision that you're making. Yeah. And so it's very simple. Like, business is very simple. People make it very complicated. And so if you really kind of water things down and younger things down to simplicity, your business should be as simple to explain to a kindergartner, max a second grader, than anybody. But sometimes people want it to be so, they need to make it sound like it's so intellectual and so this. And like, sometimes I interview people and I read their bios, and I say to them, I don't say this to them, and I'm thinking, what do they even do? Like, they get a huge company. I really have no comprehension.
Right.
I really like what you said about training, John, is that I find, and I hear this all the time, is people, I'm so busy. I need help. I need to hire 50 more people. But I don't want to train them. I've got no time to train them.
Correct.
And that is so typical. It's so typical. It's just like, I'm too busy. I need help. I need help now. But if I bring in these, I haven't got time to train them. So they don't do it. Or they bring them in and they don't train them, and then it's a disaster. So I could totally resonate with what you're saying there on the training. Yeah.
But it's also, I do a lot of coaching and keynote. I'm not doing keynotes now, but I do I do virtual keynotes, but I do a lot of virtual keynotes talks on time management, right? How to really become a student of your calendar and use your calendar. Yeah. Because most people, in a crazy way, they have no clue. When I was 18 years old, my dad came home and he said, I signed you up for a Franklin Planner weekend time management course.
Yes.
And I said, Dad, I'm not going. I have a Filofax. I don't need it, blah, 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 blah. He said, well, I already paid for it. You're going. It was $99 because you're a student and you're going, so I went. I think I was the youngest person by 30 years, but I learned so much, and it set me on this path of time management and understanding that, every 4 minutes you save is 24 hours a day, is 24 hours a year.
Yeah.
When you really look, and what I've evolved it to is when you know your price per hour, and then what you need to delegate, time is critical. You can work 3, 4, 5 years in a year if you understand how to maximize your time.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's so true.
Well, so touching on that time management, we know you got to wrap up a little bit soon here, but so if you could go back talking about the version of yourself, right? The guy who started the internet company at 24, if you go back and you tell him the key points of wisdom that you've acquired throughout the years, what would you say?
Yeah, such a good question. I would say slow down. I would say be patient, and remember that if you work hard, and the universe will kind of put in front of you everything that you need to at the right time. Be aware of the mentors that the universe puts in your way, and beware of the people that you think are mentors that are not. Right. I've had people in my life that have been mentors, deep mentors, that at the end of the day, I realize they're not, they, of course, they mentored me in ways, but there was a hidden agenda that was deeper than their mentoring to me. And a mentor should be someone who is completely selfless and really has no personal agenda for themselves. I mean, yes, yes, as a business coach, like I had a business coach and I referred to business. I still have business coaches, but, and I've had mentors that I refer to, but they don't want anything from you. So I've had a lot of situations where I took people for face value. I'm a trustworthy person, and people who I thought were mentors really turned out to be big disappointments. I've had plenty of amazing mentors, but the ones that you realize and you wake up one day and you're like, oh, wait, that person does not have my best interests in mind, even though they helped me with X, Y, and Z. Right. The negative and their backstory of it doesn't match. And those people then they go from mentors to people you don't even want to energetically, like you said, Nigel, give a minute of your energy to, because you understand a little bit more about their character. So I would kind of tell myself to be a little bit more eyes wide open when it comes to the wow effect of certain people, right? And being kind of, overly impressed. And I would also tell that person to trust your own internal instincts way more than you think you are. And to do that, take quiet time every single day, whether it's walking in nature, journaling, thinking about nothing, because that 5-10 minutes every day is critical. And get into nature.
And get in that cold, icy water.
And and jump into some cold water, Windhoff style.
Absolutely.
And I would say also too, and it's so funny because that's, and I would say, I always stood up for myself, but it's interesting. The older, in my 20s, I stood up for myself, and then you get yourself into kind of like situations where you're in alignment, but kind of out of alignment. And then you're in corporate world. And when I was in corporate world, there were so many times I wanted to tell people to just go fuck themselves. Right? And but you can't, because you have to play the game, right? You have to play this corporate game. And I would have told myself, stop playing the game, believe in yourself. You got this, start your own business earlier than maybe I did, because energetically I was doing great. I was making a lot of money. I enjoyed a lot of the people, but energetically it was out of alignment. And you start to conform to what you think you have to conform to. You'll see as you get older, you're married, you have children, you have this, and there's just more to think about. So always have faith in yourself, and don't don't believe everything that people are putting on you.
Right.
And just make sure you just always are on a quest to find your voice, and put people, and put the bullies,
Yeah.
where they belong.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Stand by that one. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Work bullies, I'm talking about.
Work bullies. Yeah.
Right. Like I had some work bullies that were a pain in the ass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And when you're in it, I would come home and tell my wife, and then you realize, oh my God, this is like the most childish. It sounds so that when you come home and tell your wife, they're like, and you're like, they're like, and you, when you're speaking, you're like, this is like kindergarten stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But when you're in the workspace, it feels so real. So the reason I left corporate America was because I remember thinking I either have to conform fully to all of this, and I've been doing it for, 6 years, or I will start my own business,
Yeah.
right? Make my own rules. And so, yeah,
Yeah. Fantastic.
kind of a long answer to a question, but that's
great. That's great.
right.
No, I think that was fantastic. And I know you got to go. You got to wrap it up.
No. I got till 125.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So I just want to ask you one thing here, which you mentioned. So you have on your LinkedIn, you have a bunch of words that you live by, which is actually really cool. Quotes from people. And I really like this one: success minus fulfillment equals failure. And that's a Tony Robbins quote. And I agree. I'm really starting to see that later in my life. It took me until I was 35 or 40 to actually start. I mean, I think I was always wired kind of that way, like the fulfillment and then giving back and a little, philanthropy and helping people, as opposed to, hoarding as much as I could and me, because it's, you watch TV and that's the way the world projects, is that, you're programmed. But can you shed a little bit of light on that? What you mean by success minus fulfillment equals failure?
So that's one of my favorite quotes. My whole book is based on my whole book is based on the foundation of that book, which can be downloaded for free at jondwoskin.com. Selfless plug.
Yeah, no.
But I am giving it for free. I'm not plugging it for someone to pay for it. It's for completely free.
Cool.
So I remember I was at this career that I just wasn't happy. And my buddy called me and he said, I have a quote for you that I think is going to really resonate with you. Yeah. Success minus fulfillment. I actually may have gotten it wrong either. It's either success minus or success without fulfillment equals failure. And I remember sitting there thinking, I'm successful, right? But I'm just not fulfilled.
Yeah.
And so that was a huge moment for me, to really adjust things in my life and just be like, just remember thinking to myself, I want to do things that feel fulfilling, where I'm fulfilling other people. Yeah. And that's what I do. So in my career now, it is 150% fulfilling. I love what I do. And I love being able to help people get unstuck as they grow their business and be a strategist and idea person and give them tools and everything. And it's funny because, I typically work with solopreneurs up to Fortune 100 companies and everything in between, but I find myself having college kids reaching out to me now and saying, and hiring me as a coach because they want to get prepped for what this new decade in front of us is going to be. Yeah. And this new decade is going to be like nothing we've ever seen since, I think, the internet boom. They say that pre-COVID studies were showing and pointing to that 85% of the jobs that exist by 2030 do not exist today. So the Devin and his generation you guys are going to change the landscape of business, and COVID accelerated that 5-6 years already.
Yeah. Right. And there's something really interesting, because we had a young entrepreneur on here a couple of weeks ago, and he was talking about fractional CEOs and fractional entrepreneurship, which I'd never heard of. But Devin's generation, like Dev, you have a bunch of things going. You have, you've got your Twin Flames, fire spinning company. He's got his acting stuff. He's got all these different things. Right. Yeah. And when I was young, it was like, you get up, you go to university, and then you go work for the, General Electric, you work for some big, corporation, right? It's like the Japanese model was, it's like, you educate yourself, you go and you work for one of the top 5 companies, Sony or whatever. And that's what I was raised like that. But now with the young guys, it's like, well, I'm doing a contract with, and Devin has a lot of film industry friends.
Yeah.
And, this guy's filming over here. He's writing here. He's doing, like, they're all doing these fractional things.
It's
Which is
cool.
fascinating to me. Hey, Dev,
Yeah.
like to Devin, I think it's normal. Hey, Dev, that's kind of the
Yeah, it kind of is the new normal kind of way. Yeah, and I think it's just having so much, information accessible to us, like through internet or through lots of different things. You can kind of look up all the things that you maybe want to be a part of, and what you want to do. Setting up a business isn't as hard as it was like perceived as when I was in like school or whatnot, in like high school, right? So yeah, come out and just do it, I guess, and you find things that you love, and if you do multiple things that you love, then you're not stuck into one dead end job just trying to, I got to pay my bills, I got to do this, right? So I think that's going to be it's kind of the being the norm now, which is good.
I like what you said is just do it. I think that's one of Richard Branson's things too. He says just do it, or was it Nike or Richard?
Nike?
Sorry,
Nike says that too a lot.
Nike says it a little bit. It's funny, I don't hear that anymore. So, but Richard Branson says, "Screw it, just do it." That's what.
Screw it, just do it. Well, you know what? It's what I love about Devin. What you're talking about is you can start a business. I mean, I talk about this all the time. I just talked to you're talking about fractional CEOs. I just talked to a CFO group who is unemployed, right? So there's these CFOs who are unemployed. They're in their probably late 40s, 50s, and 60s, right? Yeah, and so I was telling them, I talked to them all about, you have to match your credentials with your credibility, because, and so you have to be relevant and active on social media, et cetera, and all the elements of that. Because if you don't, there's going to be a 23, 24, 25, 26-year-old who's graduating college, who understands how to use social media, social networks, understands how to get out content with videos, and they're going to get a job way before you, right? Who's coachable. And so it's so important. And it's such a gift that you guys can start a business so quickly. I love it.
Yeah. I really noticed too that the younger people, like Devin's generation, are really kind of socially like switched on. Like they won't just go work for anybody. They'll say, "Hey, what's your CSR? What's your corporate social responsibility? What are you guys doing to give back to your community? What are you kind of doing for the environment? Whatever it is." Yeah. And that's kind of one of the things that they tick off when they're actually looking for a job.
Yeah, I love it.
I mean, before it's just like, I'll just get a job. I'll just go work for them. I don't really know. I don't care. Now it's huge.
Well, right. And what we're seeing is companies are forced to now raise their level of consciousness.
Yes.
And it has got to be part of their thread. It's no longer just somebody interviewing a person. That person's interviewing the company as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. Very good.
Yeah.
That's super cool. Deb, you got any wrap up? Anything to wrap up?
Not really. No
questions there. I think that's just great, John. Yeah. No, really, really appreciate it. And nice meeting your dog there.
It was not his full debut, but just came back from the groomer. So he likes to scratch the door, say hello, walk in for a little bit, see if I have any food, around my office that he can try to eat, things of that nature. I actually have a question for you, Devin, because
for sure.
On this show now, you're 24, I'm going to be 49, your dad's going to be 59.
Yeah.
What would so you asked me the question, what would I tell my 23-year-old self? You being 24, what would you tell me as a 49-year-old and your dad as a 59-year-old?
Oh, very good. Oh, interesting. Yeah. Well, it's kind of like the point that you just made before this was like to get with the new age kind of thing. It's like it's hard, and change. You can be resilient to, but change is good. And it's kind of, the ones who will evolve and survive are the ones who can adapt, right?
Yeah. Have to adapt.
Basically, right? In business and life and everything. So I think, using because I know, like, when you guys were kids and when dad was a kid, it's like you couldn't just go and figure out everything you could ever know on a computer or a phone, right? You got to go to the library and you got to look up these things. So it's just like easily accessible information at our fingertips, needs to be utilized in every form, social media. From everything really. That's learning stuff, new things every day, kind of thing, right? So knowledge important. Is power, and lots of, just fill yourself with knowledge, and, until, that's kind of it.
No, I agree. I agree 100%. I agree 100%.
I like the what you said about the adaptability. We have to, like those that survive are the ones that can adapt the quickest.
Mhm.
And even as older people, it's it's harder, we think, to adapt because we're stuck in our old ways. But we have to, because we're not going to survive. So it's learning, and I think you're right. I think it's all about learning, and there's so much available on the internet now. You can take master classes on anything by professionals. And so for us, our generation, it's we need to keep up with what's going on in order to survive. I think you're so right.
I agree. And I think the most important thing is consistency, daily execution, and lowering the bar to what you can do every day, not just big goals once a month. Right. It's like the consistency compounds in major ways over time. And that to me is the secret. No matter what your age, that works.
Yeah. That's true. I know, because I go to I go to an entrepreneurs conclave at MIT every year, and we're 75 entrepreneurs, and there's so much great content, so many great speakers. But I think, Nigel, if you come away with 3 things that you can actually apply to your life today and actually do them, you've won. And I say that all the time, because I sit and I write everything down, but this thing is like, hang on a second, there's a lot of good stuff, but you can't possibly implement all of this stuff. You got to do it bit by bit, and then stay on that routine of pushing forward and getting it done. So so thank you so much. That was great.
Yeah. I was just gonna say one thing. This coaching group I was telling you about, I start and end it the same, because I tell everyone, before we start this call, think about one thing you're going to stop doing and one thing you're going to start doing by the end. And then I always end by saying, okay, write down the one thing you're going to stop and the one thing you're going to start this week. Right. It's very similar to what you're saying. It's just, we have to catch ourselves and create better habits for ourselves. And just, unfortunately, that never stops.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
We have to just keep that ball rolling. And just like now, I'm going to go jump in the ice water.
Yeah. Oh, good. I'm jealous. Have a great dunk, fellas. I appreciate you having me on the show.
No, thanks, Jon. It's been just wonderful. Really, really appreciate it. This is fantastic.
Yeah. That was great. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Thanks. Dev, you want to wrap it up there?
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, my internet's kind of cutting out here.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, that's going to be the end of our podcast for today. If you want to learn more about Jon Dwoskin,
or Jon Dwoskin.
Jon Dwoskin.
There we go. Nice.
Sorry, my internet is just cutting out so badly right now.
I can hear you.
No worries.
Yeah, if you want to learn more about him, the link will be in the description about business coaching. Definitely check out his book, The Think Big Movement. And that's pretty much it. You got anything else to say for us, Jon?
JonDwoskin.com is my website. It's full of a ton of resources.
Yes.
I tell everybody, you can get all the information. 90% of everything I do is free on my website. If you want direct access to me and want some one-on-one coaching, give me a buzz. If that's not within your budget, you can do group coaching, which is priced at everybody's budget. JonDwoskin.com, and I podcast and books and everything on the site. So I had your dad on a couple of times, 2 epic episodes, and it's been great. So
it's been fun. It's been fun.
Yeah, it's been a good time.
Thanks, Jon, and have an awesome weekend.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah,
you
have a good one.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good one.
Sorry for butchering the last name a bunch of times.
Hey, no worries.